characters. Well, you and I will touch base after.
Yeah, we'll totally get to that. Well, this is the good part, guys. Eric, if you want to go and share us over in Epic Shells, we can get on that. But in the meantime, welcome everybody back to our first post granite episode of Epic Tales from the Sewers with my most excellent and recently shaved co-host, Mr. Eric Will.
Oh, hi, Justin. How are you? I was just admiring my face.
Yeah, I
But,
know it's nice that we can see it. I love your shirt. You've got the original turtle on. Um, Speaking of original and turtles, we've got some original turtle content from the and I'm going to try to say it correctly, Leroy. So you may have to help me on this. Like I said, I am from
Yep.
the east. The TMNT Decennium, huh?
Decennium.
Decennium. Okay, Decennium. Some of the cast and some of the creators here. We have Mr. Leroy Diaz, who plays Leo himself.
Yep.
We have Ray Froggy the Pirate Maddox, who plays Hun and Splinter. He's
How's
both
it going?
wise and quiet. No,
I reserve my words for when it matters.
and we appreciate that. And we have, last but not second, Sean something, who is, let's see, Toka, Razar, Doctor something, and most importantly, Jerry.
Nice.
And also, you'd mentioned that you were the announcer for season 1, so folks would know you from that as well.
Yes, it was.
That's great. So, for anyone who is not aware of this, this is it's kind of a scripted fan cast that's on YouTube, so you can go and you can check it out. We've been posting it everywhere in like a lot of the groups. You can see there was an open casting for it. That's kind of what got Leroy and myself talking. There's a kind of like a little bit of crossover of what we do, where I'll actually like read out the comics, but what these guys do is completely original. And I'm going to have them talk about that. Why don't you tell us what's kind of the crux behind this project there, Leroy?
Well, I mean, this whole thing started when I just, one day I just did a small trailer, sent it to what my cast and crew call him, the mysterious benefactor, quote unquote. Um, and he was, he shot me a call, real quick, and he was like, "Hey, what is this? This is crazy. Is there more of this? What are you doing with this?" And I was just like, "Look, I was just doing this for fun. I haven't done anything like this since college, and I found voice acting fun." And he was like, "You need to make this into something. This needs to be bigger." And honestly, the minute I posted the trailer up, everyone, started blowing up my phone and emails and stuff like that. And it just kind of took off. I mean, I had to silence my phone for a while. Yeah, it took off. I mean, with people asking to audition like crazy. I mean, it was nuts. But go ahead.
What's the title about? Because I'm sure a lot of people weren't familiar with what it actually meant and all that. Can you go into what the title refers to?
Yeah. So when I was coming up with the title, I was like, I don't want to do, I mean, yeah, we already know it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or TMNT, of course. I didn't want to go, TMNT decade. I was like, what's another way to say decade? I was like, Decennium, and I look it up, and for a while my team was just like, I don't know what this means. I was like, it's another way of saying decade. Like, they're like, this is awesome. And then other people who still didn't know what it meant was just like, what is this? Why is it Decennium? Like, what is this? How do you even pronounce this? What is this about? And yeah, that's how I kind of chose the name.
Did you, I'm going to ask this question because this is how I would structure things. Did you structure this entire project just so you could play Leonardo? Because that's what I would have done.
No,
That's the story among the crew.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the lead person doing this in a
That
sense.
definitely
so,
happened.
To the victor,
All right,
go
all
the
right.
spoils.
Exactly. So originally, when I started holding auditions, and if I remember correctly, my actor Leonel Rojas, who plays Donatello on the show, back then, he's like, "Well, who's playing Leo?" I mean, before I could say it, he's like, "If you're not playing Leo, I'm not doing it." And everybody else was on the same page for the longest time. Like if you're not playing Leonardo, we're not doing this. This is the whole reason of why we wanted to audition. Also, was because the way you brought out this character, it makes us question a lot. It makes us think, and everyone just loves how I bring out the performance when it comes to Leo.
That's right.
And it's a little bit different too, because it's like much like the IDW Turtles, who have kind of like a different story going on after kind of issue 100. It's like this is what happened to the Turtles when their life took over after everything's going on. Like I'm into it for like 2 minutes, and I'm like, hey, it's Leonardo's child. What? Excuse me? Leonardo's wife. Wait a minute. Hang on. Go back. Rewind. Okay,
Wait a
what's
minute.
going
What?
on? I'm like, and then there's like this other cast of characters. Like, okay, there's Alice, there's Hun. Well, we know Hun because Hun's been there before. But it's like, who's Ken?
Yes.
It's like, who's Benjamin? Like, so
Right.
there's like all these different characters. So
Listen, the purple dragons are well known.
I love that. That's pretty slick. So that's a little taste of Hun there for you.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Sean, can we get a taste of Jerry?
Jerry. I think Jerry's gone.
Was he eaten by Toto or Razar?
Donatello, I believe.
Donatello ate him.
Yeah.
Okay, so look out for that episode. So going back to this. Right, we got a bit of reverb going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my mic. I just muted my mic, so it's definitely not.
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna mute you for 1 second. All right, is that it? Okay, sorry about that. Right.
Yep.
Just let me know when you want to get back in, Sean. I think it's just headphones or something. But so going back to this, Leroy, you got a little bit different of a story. Can you give us an idea of kind of what's going on, and like how would you hook people into this who have never heard it?
Well, I mean, I've been asked, many times, what's with these new characters. What I did was, when I was coming up with of course, with the characters we already had and forming up the story around the new ones I was coming up with, I just kind of wanted something, I haven't read yet, or if I have, something a little bit different. But honestly, it just came down to something of a crazy, action-packed twist of an original story. I'm not going to give out too much because I don't know how, with our listeners, if they checked out the show, if they haven't checked out the show, how far in they're into our season 1. But honestly, I was just like, I want to have a story where what happened if, basically the rest of the Turtles and Splinter just disappeared? What would happen? And in this story, I said to myself, okay, Leonardo's not alone. He's got his wife, who's Karai, and he's got his daughter, Achika. And again, I'm not gonna give too much away, but in a nutshell, honestly, TMNT Decennium is about basically, 10 years of Leonardo searching for his family. This guy wasn't just sitting around, waiting around, or giving up. He was just going through a lot of different emotions, a lot of these things going on through his head, and then finally catching a break. So finding out, where his first brother, Michelangelo, where the heck he's been, and then so on and so forth. This story has just been crazy. Again, with, you find out, a new character called Ken, who is the son of Oroku Saki. You've got Alice, a new character who is the girlfriend of Donatello, who's a human. And then you've got our version of, Casey and April's son, Benjamin. And then you've got Raph, who's sort of got this, again, not giving away too much, who's got this whole Batman Robin thing going on, where he takes a kid, human kid, and raises him, Samuel.
Let's see. Yeah, and I mean the new characters are interesting because it's kind of like a bouncing off point where it's like, what would happen if this sort of went into it? Like
Exactly.
and I mean I mentioned before that you've got let's see. I mentioned before that you've got like Casey Jones' son, and some of this stuff has already kind of presented itself in regular media, like
Yes.
there's crossover to like, okay, now we've got Casey Marie Jones,
Yep.
and in the IDW you have Hun, and Casey is Hun's son. So Hun having a son in here, it's like there's
Yeah.
room for all this, and it's like this is kind of a cool
Right.
different take. But you've got other characters in there that are somewhat unexpected, like when Sean was talking about being able to play both Toka and Razar, and you've got Usagi Yojimbo showing up. So it's like this is a deeper cut than normally what you'd expect.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, Usagi, I'm gonna hit that a little bit. Usagi's been one of my favorite characters for a very, very long time. Um, I'm loving this. I love that. I love that.
Good comment.
I love that. Anyways, Usagi's one of my favorite. Usagi's been one of my favorite characters for a very long time, and my voice actor, of course, David Gilmour, who's done a great job playing Usagi. And can't get enough love when it comes to playing his character. Then and then creating another character on top of it, who's his wife, Bonnie, who's played by Rebby Hobbleman, who does a fantastic job at playing that character as well. I wanted to have Usagi in there. I wanted to have Usagi in there hard, because he's just been always one of my favorite rabbit warriors, as I should put out there.
It's a timely reference too, because I mean we're on issue 5 of the Turtles and Usagi Yojimbo crossover right now.
Yeah.
Even okay. Well, what we're chuckling about, folks, is there's a message and it said, "I think if Master Splinter was a Jedi, he'd be the coolest on all of Star Trek." Thank you, Silver Savvy, and thank you, Turtle Guy. Yeah.
Oh god, I'm gonna
Turtle
say
guy.
it.
I'm Turtle guy.
I would have to say that this is probably the most special compliment I have ever received. Not only am I Jedi, but I get to crew Starship
Exactly.
Enterprise. Yes, it's
I'm not
amazing.
gonna lie,
Thank you so much, Siler.
These are not the mutants you're looking for.
No,
I'm
fire proton cannons.
gonna actually hit that for a little bit. I mean, that's funny. I mean, you honestly, if a lot of people would have seen us at DECOCON in Watertown, New York, and being around Ray, it would have been the funniest thing.
Well, I just treated the whole thing like a holodeck program, and
Yep.
it was successful.
That's for sure. I mean, Ray Ray was crazy.
It's great content there. Sorry for the little poking, but that's just the greatest comment ever.
Well, I guess that'll be season 3, right? Where you guys go into space and
Oh god.
Apparently now there must be a season 4, Turtles in Space. The Muppets did it, so
yeah. Well, Muppets did it.
how can we not at this point? I'll get with Leroy.
So that's fun. I wanted to ask about like the inception of this too. Like, what does it take to get something like this put together? Because I'm definitely interested in how you guys all came to be Turtles fans and what you enjoy the most about it. But I just wanted to ask, how does this come into being, Leroy? Like, go from idea to now we're on season 2, we're casting, and moving to season 3 at that point,
So again, I mean, I'll go back to a little bit of the beginning when I started putting this together, and again, the auditions and all that. When I was finally able to grasp on everyone that I wanted, of course, we've had a little bit of recastings, and that's okay. But the process to get all this done, season 1, ups and downs. I want to say, we're all family people. A lot of us have kids, and of course, we don't work full-time jobs. But a lot of us have kids, so it's been a process. You've got Ray, who's in Texas. You've got me, who's in upstate New York. You got Sean. Sean, if I forgot, correct me if I'm wrong. You're in Illinois. Is that correct, or am I wrong? Yes. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, Illinois. Yep.
Yep. You've got Brian Hoskins, who plays Raphael, who's in Vancouver. Everybody else is in Syracuse. And then you've got my actor, two of my actors, actually three of my actors, who are in close to Manhattan and as well as in Jersey. But everybody's pretty spread out. And
I hear the sewers in Connecticut are nice.
What was that?
I hear the sewers in Connecticut are nice.
Yeah, they are very nice. They are fantastic.
Sorry,
Everybody's been spread. Everybody's spread out. And it's basically been about, for season one, it was about guidance, question after question, people hitting me up of how they wanted certain things done, and it was about getting all the lines put together and giving it to my audio editor, which is Mark, that guy Fair. And it with setbacks, honestly, it would take some time. It would take some time. Then you've got Mark D, who's our music composer, and Timmy Musi, who's our music arranger. It would take some time, honestly, to put all that stuff together. But all in all, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really thought you guys did a great job, especially with the theme song and mixing in all of the voices, let alone like the music part to it. And another thing that's just incredibly difficult and is the Foley art that you guys have in there. Whether you're putting the little sound effects in, that is such a little detailed process. So that's something that's like, give yourself some credit on that, because that is really good.
I do. I mean, I give credit to, honestly, the the people I went to college with. Of course, they would every so often, because I was a radio communications major, not what I wanted to do, but that's what it ended up being. And they would supply me with different Foley sounds and stuff like that.
Nice.
I've had fans give us some Foley sounds. I've had other family members and my audio editor, of course, come up with some stuff and give us all these different things. So we have quite a bit of different sounds. And then every once in a while, I would just do my own. But yeah, I mean, to take all that everyone has given us, as well as stuff that we've come up with on our own, I'm nothing but grateful. I'm nothing but grateful to the fans that have given us stuff to use, honestly.
Let's talk about voices here for a second. So I think when I was talking to you, you mentioned that you had some voice actors do some parts on the show, or maybe that are upcoming in the show, things like that. Who have you worked with on the show that obviously we see Ray and we see Sean, who popped out but will maybe pop back in. Who else are some of the folks that have worked with you?
Well, we've worked with Renee Jacobs, of course, who played April O'Neil in the 1987 series. And we have also worked with Scott Williams, of course, who played Baxter Stockman in the 2003, which is my favorite, for 7 seasons straight.
Yeah,
So
I actually got to say, I've had a lot of interactions with big stars and little stars and everything, and I really treasure the time that I had with Scott, because it was very meaningful, and it was just a very special moment. And
it was.
Thanks, Leroy. That was a wonderful experience, and I'm glad I was a part of that.
That's really cool.
You're welcome.
No, seriously, I've never met such a humble, down to earth, and just kind of, never really made a big deal of himself, and was kind of just genuinely surprised that people even took interest in him. And I'm also not shy to say that I now own the only autographed Pokemon Darkrai card in existence. Thank you, Scott. But no, Scott does a lot of voices, Darkrai being one of them. But he was just such a humble guy, and it very obvious gratitude, which is something that I just don't experience very often. So it was pretty cool.
Wow, I
It's
think
pretty
that's
cool.
one of our first, or maybe our second Pokemon crossover on this show ever.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, most people don't know Scott Williams is also the voice of Darkrai, and he was kind enough to sign a card that I had laying around, and I thought that was pretty cool. So he said he'd never done that before. So
oh, that's really cool.
yeah,
You got his first experience too. So now that adds
also
to the intrinsic value.
fans, no, it's not for auction. Just don't email
No,
me,
okay.
please. All right,
Don't
I don't want a million. Ah, no, just stop, just stop. All right. It's
What
not
was
happening.
well, let me ask you this, Ray, then. What was something that surprised you about this? Was it something in the script? Was it like a plot point? Was it like the final project? Like
Now, when you say this, are you meaning the show?
yeah,
Or okay.
well, the whole project as well. It could be like
Um,
making the show or watching it.
okay, well,
Fan
I'm lucky.
reactions.
I'm lucky and unlucky enough to have been born in 1980, so I've been here for all of Ninja Turtles. And one thing that I was kind of sad to see as time evolved was this stray where Splinter started being viewed less of an Eastern mindset, where he was revered in wise and wisdom, to more of a Western mindset, where he was kind of senile, buffoonish, lazy, And I hate to put that on us, but that's how we treat our elderly, and it's very obvious. And so I was quite pleased to see a return to more of a reverent state, because everybody's like, oh, who's your favorite turtle? I'm like, well, it's always been Master Splinter. So I actually got picked on by the nerds when I was a kid. So they're like, what do you mean Splinter? I'm like, dude, you like the turtles? I taught, like, my favorite guy taught all of them. Like, of course I'm the best. What are you talking about? No, it never worked that way in the sandbox. But but anyway, so I was very pleased to see Leroy's script evolve that direction, and in which the turtles very much revere him as a father figure again, and less of a burden. So that was really cool.
Do you have
But
any lines that you go back to, like any memorized lines that you're like, oh, this is
Oh
the one?
God.
Yeah, you knew that was coming, right?
Oh God.
actually, what it was it. And I know it has to just come from Leroy sitting around at breakfast, but one of the deepest moments that's been released is a moment involving a Pop Tart, where
I
two
heard
of
the
the
outtake on
Ninja
this.
Turtles. Did you? Yeah. Okay. Well, two of the turtles. I'm not gonna, dive names or whatever, but they're arguing, and Master Splinter comes in, and he's uses the analogy of a Pop Tart as a behavioral algorithm. And I'm not going to give it away because it was actually very touching. And I was very kind of surprised when I recorded the lines, like just where it took me emotionally. I'm a father. And so it was kind of surprising to me that it grasped me the way it does. It was kind of an emotional moment, and it's just over a stupid Pop Tart. So that's pretty cool.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Yeah,
That's
good
art.
job, Leroy.
That's the cool thing about, like, you could look at like the cover of a comic book and it could reduce you to tears. Or we had talked about this way back when The Last Ronin was coming out, and there was discussion about the Aaron Bartling cover. Remember, Eric, we were talking about this,
Hmm.
where it's like he designed that cover so it would be grabbing your emotions. And I mean, here it is. It's like one of the most coveted covers because that's that sort of gravitas that it has. It's so cool that you have a moment like that about a Pop Tart in a Ninja Turtles audio play. You know,
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I mean, I was asked. I mean, for the longest time, and Sean knows and Ray knows, and the rest of the cast and crew. Pop Tarts has been one of the biggest inside jokes for the entire cast and crew. I
Well,
mean, like hands down. And I was asked by, of course, the actor who played our former Splinter, and he's still part of our team. Um, I love and appreciate him as well. Um, and he asked about like, hey, can you do something, sort of kind of what Ray mentioned, and kind of make a spin, put a spin on it when it comes to a teachable moment with these two. And I said, sure, why not? And then when he read it, of course, when Ray read it later on, and everybody else saw it, they're just like, "Are you? This is too important. Even if you decide to take this out." I said, "I'm not taking it out. Like it's too important to take out. It's very emotional. It brings you to a certain point um, of your life where if you've ever had this any type of confrontation, and all of a sudden this comes into play, it makes you think." And they're just, everybody was just, the people were just telling me this is great how you wrote this. And then when they heard Ray actually perform it, they were just like, I've got no words. Like I've got no words. It makes me think of a lot of different fights I've had with a brother or a sister or somebody else or what have you, and it makes you think about what's it really mean. What's the point of it?
That's cool. So it's you're transcending the medium into real life and making an impact on something emotionally, and that's true art. So that's really cool, and it's cool that you guys have that sort of thing. What episode is that in? So I can tell people, be like, hey, obviously check this out from episode 1, but pay special attention to this one.
It's actually, if I remember correctly, it should be in episode 11, but I could be wrong. People would have to listen to episode 12 just in case. Personally, I'd say listen to both. Both those two episodes are supposed to be a giant "This is the past," and my cast and crew know what that is. "This is the past" is basically is a moment in time where it brings you back to the characters' past, or one character, where it brings them back to before any of the other stuff has happened. And those two episodes, especially 11 and 12, are a big chunk of how a lot of our characters people are used to already know, as well as the new characters that I've created, a bit more on their backgrounds.
Cool. Nice. My next question, I got to go back to Sean here. Sean, do you have any particular experiences like Ray has? Like maybe it's lines, or if it's something else that an experience from this that kind of sticks out for you?
Well, there's been many, I would say. I've I've been a part of it since before the first episode. And when I saw, I think it was the second trailer is what I saw. He had two trailers out, and I saw it in a Turtles group. And when I not to trail too far off, but when I saw his post, I told him I want to help. I don't care what I do. I'll mop the floors. I didn't care. I wanted to be involved, and now I am, and it really it was a really different experience for me being part of this crew. There's been a lot of I run the other group chat, with the crew, and there's been a lot of moments in there, if we're having a bad day, oftentimes we've been able to pick each other up and things like that, and I've been in a lot of punk rock bands and things like that, and there's an unspoken rule of never have a band chat. Never have a band chat.
Oh, no.
I've seen bands break up because of that, and it's just so amazing how well this crew works together and like how much they care about each other. So it's so hard to pin it down to one experience, but I can say the whole experience, every step of the way. It's all meant a lot to me,
That's
and
great.
as do my crew and Leroy and all of it.
It's actually, you mentioning that, Sean. There's an entire blooper that was born out of what he's talking about, just our day-to-day lives group chat. So, I'm a mailman in real life, and just to kind of blow steam, I would send messages to the group chat as Hun, just griping about just day to day stuff as a mailman, stuff that other people don't think about, like if it says or current resident, if everybody sticks it in there, well, the mailman's got to sit there and dig through all that just to find the outgoing mail and stuff. It's a real, time consumer. So I would just do Hun, like,
You've got to be kidding me. My outgoing mail is not a trash can.
right, and so when we were going through this period where unfortunately some greater forces were at work, and the original cast, Master Splinter, had to go tend to some family affairs, and so we're in this kind of like period where there was like nothing getting released, so we just start throwing out bloopers. And one day I get this message from Leroy. He goes, "Hey man, listen, I've got some stuff going on this week, and I was wanting to know if maybe you'd be interested in doing this blooper idea I've got." I'm like, "Sure, run it by me. What do you got?" He goes, "Well, I want you to do Mailman Hun." He's like, I've got
Delivering
this.
Pop-Tarts.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, okay, man, let's do it." He goes, "All right, cool, because I've got this like just real rough script. It's basically just like you sitting with the therapist at the coffee shop and just answering questions back and forth." And I was like, "Sure, great." And we ran it, and then it came back with all the effects and everything, and it was just hilarious. But it's a um, good illustration of just how our team is. We're pretty close with one another. We care. My son has cancer right now. Yeah, so I'm getting
Sorry
ready
to
to
hear
go
that.
in. It's all right. We're getting ready to go in Wednesday for his fourth round of chemo,
Oh,
and everybody's always really supportive, and you know I've been a voice actor for quite some time, and very rarely in a production scenario does your producer say, "Oh yeah, well your outside life is more important. Take some time. We'll push some production schedule back or whatever." That just doesn't happen. Even in a fan base scenario like we're in, a production schedule is that's usually what it is, and so it's just been really nice to have family support, friends, a little leeway when I need it, and have fun with a project that's been with me since I was like a little kid, man. It's always been. I'm actually going to touch on something you said earlier. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has always been important to me
hmm
because I grew up, and when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles started coming into full swing, we were right in the middle of all of America was in gang wars. Drug epidemic was insane in the United States. There was very little hope. Everybody was divided in some shape or form, but it was like it didn't matter what kid it was. When it came to Ninja Turtles, the only discussion was who your favorite turtle was,
Yeah.
Yup.
right? It didn't matter
Mhm.
if you were a blood or a crip, if you were if your parents were heroin junkies, if you were homeless or what. It was like the end all be all discussion. None of that stuff mattered. Ninja Turtles, and more importantly, the ideas that were presented in Ninja Turtles were in a lot of ways life changing for kids. If you go back and look at a lot of stuff, I mean, it touched on some really serious issues, crack epidemic, even like it was like Ninja Turtles dealt with the real world of things that kids were going through, and they did their best to try and give them a positive something to look at when a lot of kids didn't have that.
Yeah,
You know,
the Archie ones with environmentalism, that was a huge idea in there.
yeah,
It's basically snuck in. It's what Steve Murphy was saying. Yeah.
it was, and I think in a lot of ways, it was kind of a pinnacle moment for animation as well, because the powers that play kind of realized, hey, we can make lifelong changes through a cartoon. And you see that very, very strongly reflected in Ninja Turtles. What's the one? Captain Planet.
Oh yeah, yep.
There was a whole string of cartoons right then. But for me, Ninja Turtles was one of the most powerful because it just had such a innate ability to connect anyone, whether you were in Eastern or the New York street punk or we were still heavily segregated mindset wise. You were the black kid, the white kid, and so it's always been a very powerful part for me. And to be a part of it now, which is this has spiraled into something way bigger than any of us ever conceptualized it ever being. We just thought we would be a bunch of nerds sitting around talking in a microphone, like
Yeah.
having fun because it was cool, and now apparently it's well, not apparently it is. It's turned into something
It's
really
much
big.
bigger. It's
And-
much
and,
bigger. It's much bigger than that. I mean, one thing is family. I mean, the turtles are about family. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all these different personalities to where a lot of people can relate to a turtle. Like, I relate to Raphael. I was always a hothead whenever I was younger, and I would come around, so on and so forth. And we got Justin. He's a Leo guy, and as well as everybody else. I mean, they're just so relatable. I mean, you can go to X-Men or something like this, but I'm sorry, Turtles is different than a lot of other um I guess you could say superheroes, and to say the least.
I'd say it proudly. They have saved the world.
Yep. Yep.
So I mean, to me, I mean, yes, it is much bigger picture. I mean, as you guys could tell, behind me is painted like a turtle show, and I got turtle stuff, and my son is all about turtles too. So I mean, it's a family thing, and I think it's a beautiful thing. You know, like you said, it's so much bigger than what people think it is. It's not just, well, you're a nerd for liking turtles at the age of 38 years old or 40 or 50. I could care less. I mean, this is life. This is life for me. You know, and I'm thankful to be a part of the turtle community because 95% of it is awesome. To say the least.
Yeah. Stay
You
away
got
from
that
the action
5%.
figure. Yeah, the vintage action figure collectors. And,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But it's so much bigger. Like, my wife. I'm thankful for the wife that I had to let me have. She's the one that did it, to put Ninja Turtles into our wedding. So it's stuff like that like it's big. To me, it's life. It's life for me.
I'm gonna just take the camera and show you guys what my wife let me have. For all the listeners, you've heard about the
Just remember, he slept on the couch for probably about a couple of weeks for that.
Oh, I'm
this is the last
sure.
Ronin statue, which is like 3 feet
I-
tall.
This is not your wife let you have this. This is your wife finally let you come back to bed after you bought it without talking to her.
Yeah,
That's what that is. That's
I showed up 2 days before my wedding. Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a true sign that she loves you.
Yeah, how grateful am I?
Right.
That's awesome. And it sounds like this project has transformed into like what the actual
got him.
topic is about. Like it's about family. It's about found family and everybody coming together to kind of overcome the odds, which is what Turtles is very much about. So it's
Right.
kind of sounds like you guys have like crossed over to like, okay, now we are the Turtles. It's like, oh yeah, Sean's
Mhm.
totally Raphael right now, and oh Ray, that's totally Splinter. He's giving us advice. It's kind of like that. It seems.
Right. I mean, a little bit of how our and Ray knows this as much as I do. And I'm not going to give out too much. Ray knows this due to confidentiality between him, myself, and another individual I'm going to be talking about a little bit. But this is the time this is the day before NecoCon, I think, or after the first day. Ray and I were asked to give advice to one of our fellow actors who plays Raphael's son, Samuel, Damian Lopez. I'm not going to give out too much of what he talked about or anything at all. But between the three of us, it was a very, very, very emotional, very important night that day. And I mean, this dude, he's an actor who he knows my sister personally. He's worked with my sister personally in New York City. But anyways, the advice that we had given him that night to keep the family aspect of this, he was nothing but grateful. I mean, nonstop thanking us up and down from the time that night ended to the following day to when he saw Ray leave. And then, of course, with me, phone calls with him. He's been nonstop grateful. And he took anything me and him, all three of us had shared that night, and kind of put it into play. He put it into play. I mean, this guy, he was having a very, very, very hard time. He was
having a shell of a time.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. He was having a shell of a time. Exactly. And, to still be able to work with him is fantastic. The amount of emotion he puts into his lines, being a new character that's never been played before in a way, and then playing a character that he takes very, very seriously. It's just awesome.
Great. That's great. So I do want to kind of like get into just like a little bit about you guys and just like ask about your favorite characters and stuff like that. But my next question is going back to Sean, because I see it looks like the Ramones are back there. Which turtle do you think is the most likely to listen to punk music?
I really appreciate that question. I would say it would probably be rap, honestly.
Okay.
They're like, I could see Mikey liking like the third wave ska kind of stuff, but Raph would be like raging with the like LA hardcore kind of thing, it's in everyone, so it could, any one of them, I could see listen to a little bit of something, but yeah, I'd say Raph, and Raph and Casey.
Oh God, yes.
Oh, Casey, yeah, absolutely.
For
Yeah,
sure,
you can't see
Casey.
it, but if I was
without
wearing
question.
if I was wearing a hat, it would be my Misfits hat, which I don't have on me right now. But no, I'm a big punk fan myself.
Are you old enough to know what a Crimson Ghost is, dude?
I think he's asking you, Sean, because I'm a year younger than Ray. So
Yeah, I've at least heard them covered a number of times at shows.
Yeah.
Never got into them, but I have heard them covered by plenty of bands.
Well, nothing like the original.
I love when there's a crossover of two things that I love, like turtles and music. So that's just fantastic. And I just had to know, because there's like so many different personalities, and in the newer comics you have like Jenica, who's playing in a band, and Rocksteady and Bebop, who come out and trying to play music, and it's just god awful. So it's a lot of fun. But let's talk about you guys. Let's talk about like your like Ray already kind of went into this, and he's already said that Splinter's his favorite. But Leroy, what about you? Who's your guy? Who's your go-to? If we're playing the 4-player arcade game, where are you going? What stick are you going to go to play for your favorite turtle?
I'm going to Leo.
It's not a surprise.
I'm going I'm going to Leo. Leo in a lot of different renditions has always been, very determined, very somewhat organized when it comes to plans. But there's been times where he hasn't. He's been an emotional wreck. I mean, from comics to, of course, again, my 2003 favorite, being an emotional wreck and not knowing which direction to go, how to lead his brothers, even in my story, to how to continue on taking care of his family, making sacrifices, all these different things. And I would say I'd take Leo.
All right, that's great. I got to go back to Sean because we already heard from Ray that Splinter's his guy. Sean, who's your go-to turtle?
Donatello. Honestly, growing up, it was always Donatello, and especially like in talking like arcade wise, I'm huge into arcade games, especially. Um,
Galloping Ghost?
uh,
You ever been?
is that a place or
Yeah,
a game?
it's a place just outside of Chicago.
No, I
Okay.
have not actually. Uh, I'll keep that in mind.
Okay.
I don't get around that often, besides for shows. But the yeah, Donatello, I always identified with him. With the nerd, the outcast. He was always kind of on his own in multiple renditions, and then but he was he was part of the family. But he usually half the time it ended up on his shoulders. Like he saved the whole team. With his gadgets, with his wackiness. He created something wacky that defeated the big bad or whatever. And yeah, I just always loved that. And when I was like a kid, I was in martial arts or whatever, until I was like 10 or 11. And my first weapon was the bow. And I was just so obsessed with it. I thought I was Donatello and all that. So yeah.
You guys ever see that meme that says me with a what was it, me at like 5, and he's got like the wrapping paper roll, and then it says me at 35, and it's
Like the real.
Yeah,
the same way.
I've seen that one many of times.
No.
We're I know we're getting towards the end. Normally, what we do at this point is we ask a very important question to us. I will get to that question, Eric, I promise. But I just wanted to ask folks.
I'm such an angry elf when it comes to
I
that.
already know. I already know this question.
You already know?
So
What is
I
it?
have to.
Yeah.
It's
What is it?
it's like it's got to be. There's only one question it could be.
I'm sure
What?
it's not hard to.
What's your favorite pizza?
Yeah.
I-
Yeah. Well, it's
Is
kind of that,
it?
but it's also
Alright.
like it's also do you prefer pineapple on your pizza or not pineapple?
Ah,
I'll just
gotcha.
get. We
See,
we
this
can
is
do
where I
that now.
despise
Let's.
him is the pineapple part of the pizza. And my
But
son,
see, I thought we were gonna stay away from politics.
Yeah. Well, hey. Big pineapple. Big pineapple.
We had a standing arrangement, sir.
we're allowed to debate about pineapple and pizza.
Pineapple and pizza. That is honestly
My
one of
son
the
over here is
hottest
saying it's
political
good, and it's
discussions
not.
of this generation.
Yeah, we
My
don't
wife
stray.
agrees
We
with
don't
me
stray from
too.
the hard issues. So
Well,
My wife
all
will eat
right.
pineapple and pizza, so it's 2 against 1 in my house.
My
look
other-
at me.
Pineapple, man.
My little
Little cameo in the back.
little
Yeah,
cameo in the
nice.
back.
Nice. Family. Gotta love family.
What do you
Yeah,
guys think?
my daughter, my oldest is a huge pineapple pizza fan. That's her. That's
See,
her. My oldest.
Sounds like Leroy. That's a no. So
Yeah.
I like you, Leroy.
I'm a chicken bacon ranch kind of guy. That's me.
I'd mess it up.
that's
I
not
eat
even
it.
a pizza.
That's
Why are you
pizza
putting
to me. I'm
ranch? Why are
sorry.
you putting ranch on? It's not a salad.
it's a Midwest.
I've never heard it called that.
Right?
That's funny. Chicken bacon ranch pizza is a salad.
It's not a salad, bro.
Our friend Camilo calls that a
Oh,
circular
shit.
fruit disc.
That's hilarious.
Well, as someone who predominantly spent most of their life as a chef, I gotta go with the width. But that's only because it's like I get the ham, I get the pineapple, so it's all luau plus the bread too.
Hey,
Mm.
come on now. All in one little
Might as well
place.
just put spam
And
one too while
look,
you're at it.
Eric, if it makes you feel better,
I mean, I
I
do
personally
spam.
like to throw the jalapeno on there to balance it. Otherwise, it's too sweet. It's too sweet.
I like that with pepperoni because it's the same reason, pepperoni and pineapple. But yeah,
That's salt. That's not the same. It's not the
no,
same.
I would also have the jalapenos on there. So
So I'll back you up if it's just ham and pineapple. Nah, I can't get down with
right,
that.
that's a half answer. So okay, all right, so we'll give him half credit.
Okay, I'm okay liking you right now.
You know,
All right,
You're in
Sean,
can't
between
get down
you're
with
right
the
that.
now.
Sean, you're the casting vote here. You got to determine pineapple or not
All
pineapple.
depends on you.
Oh, I
Whose side
am.
you
I
taking?
am
You
not
taking the
very
dark
picky
side
at
or the light
all.
side?
I worked specifically pizza like for years, in many different places. So I often survived on the scraps of pizza, and I didn't care. I learned to like basically all of it, but no anchovies.
Okay,
Give
If
me a
you
Ah,
no
put
anchovies.
anchovies on it, um, but that's basically it. I'm fine with pineapple. I really am, and that jalapeno sounds pretty good too, right?
yeah, no, it's got to be coupled, you know.
I like
But and anchovies,
I'm
they
getting some
only
half
have
answers here, so I mean,
they only have
I guess
a
I'm okay with
home
you guys.
on Supreme.
Justin, not so
Like
much.
otherwise, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Like if you're just doing like anchovies and pepperoni, you're not. I love you, but you're not sharing pizza with me. I don't. No, anchovies Supreme, we're good all day.
Am I the only person that likes anchovies? I
I
mean,
love
I
anchovies,
feel like
but
that's
on the Supreme pizza,
like you ever have them
No.
in a salad? You know, a bacon
yes,
ranch
that's
pizza. You
different.
have anchovies on
You
it.
like Caesar? Who
That's
here likes Caesar salad?
yeah, of
Huh?
course.
I
Yeah.
don't like lettuce. I don't
You
like
who
greens.
Yeah,
likes
I
Caesar?
don't eat.
If you like Caesar, I got news for you. You love anchovy paste
yeah.
because it's the number one
Mm-hmm.
ingredient in
Yes,
Caesar dressing.
yeah, that's one
Yeah,
of the
it's also
ingredients is
in
made in Caesar.
Worcestershire. So yeah, I don't know, whatever. But let's go back because I know we're getting towards our end
Yeah.
here. Let's talk about like where we can find you guys. Let's talk about like why would someone listen? Like what do they hope to get about listening to the episodes and just kind of like where they can find you and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm gonna let Ray start with that. I'll come back into being the last person to share, and I'll talk about where people can go and stuff like that. So, Ray, go ahead.
All right. Well, depending upon how specific, like if you're very specific, you better show up with chocolate. But other than that, fans can start by checking out TMNT Decennium.xyz. That's our primary website there. That's cool for the show. You can find it on YouTube, Twitch, like SoundCloud. I don't know, you name it. If it's a platform, Leroy has probably taken the time to put us on there. IMDb, even. Yeah, I did that one. But anyways, as far as myself, I kind of ask if people would direct your contacts to Leroy. Uh, that'd be beneficial. So our main email there for the website um, would be beneficial if you're trying to contact me that way, project wise or anything like that. I'm kind of leaving that to Leroy. He knows my schedule better than pretty much anybody right now. But you check out the VR game Hybo. I did a lot of voices for that. Aside from that, I'm gonna kick it over to somebody else with other contact stuff.
Sean, you can go.
Okay, yeah, anything about the show should definitely go to Leroy or like Ray said, the email, any of the social media accounts. The social media accounts will be responded to by Leroy, myself, or like 2, 3 other people that and like you said, it's a family thing. It's one of us, will be the one to reply. And if it's important, if it's auditions, whatever, that's posted everywhere as to how to do that, where to send those. Myself, I'm working on my social media, redoing my social media because I lost my original Facebook account that was maxed out, um, and I had to start over this year. Um, so I'm starting new pages, but pulppunkmedia@gmail.com is how anybody could get a hold of me for other projects, be it art for hire or music or anything. I wear far too many hats. So Pulp Punk Media, and if any bands are seeing this, From Nothing House in Aledo, Illinois is where I can always be found. And you can always find a great free punk rock show in a safe space here.
Where did you say that was? In where, Illinois?
Aledo, Illinois, very tiny town.
Toledo. Okay. Gotcha. Maybe I'll check that out.
Well, I mean, honestly, for for current fans that we've had, and for new fans that are looking to listen to something that's completely fresh, something new, I would say honestly, if you're not looking to jump onto watching, listening to trailers, I would honestly say jump onto the first episode. Jump onto the first episode. What's going to bring you in is a story that's unfolded into something a lot bigger than a lot of my cast and crew thought it would be. You're jumping into a story of one single turtle left looking for his family after 10 years of nothing. You're also getting a bunch of different characters that have never been in any turtle series either. You're getting a bunch of different side stories as well. You're getting a bunch of different new villains. You're getting a bunch of different new heroes. What hopefully dives you in is the story that unfolds of Leonardo finding his family after 10 years and going through so many different things with finding his brothers, his father, and what have you, and even our villains themselves going through a crazy roller coaster of different things. And as Sean and Ray has mentioned, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Pandora, and a bunch of different platforms. I work with people who are experienced and non-experienced. So if people who are listening and want to audition, do not be afraid to audition, because you never know.
We have roles. We have roles.
We have roles.
Look,
Not fresh rolls,
how
man.
does butter come with the rolls?
Well, it depends on if you toast the
Okay,
line or
I like
not.
apple butter preferably.
Okay. Well, that's
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
you
fine.
also get to see something that Leroy has left out that I have witnessed with great pride, and that's you get to watch a ragtag bunch of fans turn into a really serious production group that's
Nice.
doing some really amazing stuff. Like from episode 1 to where we're at now, it's literally incredible what this whole team has done. Night and day. I have no idea what the animals are losing their mind for, but anyhow, it's night and day. The just episode 1 to I don't know what are we out with now? 13, 14?
13.
13, right? 13. Yeah.
Yep.
1 to 13. You see the growth in the whole crew just as much as you do the characters and the story. It's been
Every
I'm proud of
episode.
I'm proud of them. They've done a really good job.
That's great. That's great, guys. I really appreciate you being on. I appreciate what you're doing. I was really impressed when I first reached out to Leroy, because when I was first looking to start this podcast, there was nothing, right? And what I do is I go through and I kind of do a little audio book style drama. I know I'm dating myself by saying audiobook, and do it with the voices. Now there's options for people to listen to all the kind of stuff, and I was so excited that there was something else that people can listen to that's Ninja Turtles, that I was like, oh my God, you have to be on the show. I'm so excited. So, and hopefully there'll be room for us to work together down the road. Wink. No,
No, that's true. That's true. I mean,
Didn't I say there were rolls?
yeah, and apple butter. Yeah, I remember.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
rolls.
Cinnamon
Rolls.
butter. Right.
Oh, we
It's our new
well,
character, Cinnamon Butter.
currently we're holding auditions for impressionists. Honestly, we're holding auditions for impressionists for different turtles, splinters as well.
Goofy.
To be clear, that's a voice impressionist, not a painter.
Oh, okay. Well,
Exactly.
just-
Yep. Exactly.
we do have
Voice
French
impressionist.
listeners.
Yeah. And
You Renaissance man in the
yeah,
audience.
yeah.
Sorry.
That's what we're holding
Ladies,
auditions for. And
Renaissance
honestly, if
ladies.
anybody wants to audition, you can send an MP3, you can send an MP4, you can get a hold of us at tmntdecennium@gmail.com. Get a hold of me personally. Again, do not be afraid of sending something. Really don't be afraid, because you never know. I could say yes. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
a lot of these guys who have jumped onto this are just like, I didn't think I was going to get in. Well, you did. Sorry.
Yeah, and you're welcome to reach out to me. I know it kind of sounded a little standoffish the way I put it, but I just have so much going on with like the cancer and stuff like that. Like anything
You
like
got a lot going on,
show
man.
related, just hey man, throw it to Leroy. He'll get it to me. I'll be happy to respond to any questions, projects, anything like that you've got. It's just like right now the fewer sources of information coming at me, the better. So
You're fine,
please,
man. No, don't worry.
by all means, reach out if you have any questions.
We appreciate having the three of you on. For all the audio listeners, you can stay tuned for the pizza recipe of the day. But otherwise, we want to thank all of our guests for being on Epic Tales
Pizza
from the
recipe.
Sewers. Eric, any words of wisdom before we go?
No, I don't have anything.
He doesn't
I can't
have
think of anything. I'm tired. I've been up since, let's see, like I've been up since 9:30 this morning, and I went to bed at 5 or 6 this morning.
You are the night owl. You're going to be the night watchman before this is done. But
I'm a Raphael.
you're the Raphael. We will catch everybody on our next episode of Epic Tales from the Sewers. Be sure to check out our guests, and we'll have links to everything in our show notes. Thanks so much, guys.
Justin,
Yeah,
Eric,
welcome.
Thanks
thank
for
you
having
so
us
much
on.
for having us. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
it's been great. It's a wonderful time.